Hello everybody and welcome to a Mistoxiajet Tweggy Beat. Oh god, I'm awful at this one. So this one's actually Maltese for Monday question and answer, and actually this time there's no Google Translate. I don't think I had to look for it and I couldn't find it, so I'm just going off of just randomly trying to say this. So, and actually one of my best friends is half Maltese, and yeah, well, he's not been to Malta, so he's not much help for me. But Mistoxiajet Twegibie, or Twegibiet, something like that. I think that'd work out. Anyway, and I do want to apologise because I haven't made a video this week. I'm just going to put it out there that it's been a bad week, and yeah, I don't want to be too negative, but that's just how it is sometimes. You just can't motivate yourself to get things going, and I really should have done, really. So it wasn't a good thing, so I hope you can forgive me. And anyway, I'll get onto the questions now. Arish Mickey says, now that you've covered Renzo, Mukas and Rel, how would you describe your own Planetside 2 personality? Also, what's the craziest thing you've just up and decided to do on your own initiative, and how did it turn out? I think that my channel in Planetside 2 and YouTube in general is basically just, it's my personality and me just putting myself out there and doing things in games, and so I guess I'm part of Rel's intellect. I do some guides and some social commentary, and I did do sociology at uni, so I am quite rooted in sort of, well, theory, but then also I do like to have fun. I do like to sort of act, I guess. I guess I'm more theatric than some of the other ones, but is that really identifying my channel? I guess I do enjoy the machinima and doing voices and voice acting, and you know, generally, well, I just enjoy, I guess it's just me putting myself out there, enjoying what I do, and hoping that people can enjoy and engage as well. And then, I don't know, I think I do a bit of everything. I do a bit of acting, I do a bit of community engagement, like with this question and answer. I do a bit of tricks and tips and all sorts, you know. I guess my only thing is I don't really do live plays as much, but and if I do try to do a live play, I try and make it more entertaining, or I put in like a challenge or something to make it a bit more spicy. But yeah, it's hard to sum up yourself. I think it'd be much easier if somebody else summed me up, because I guess, especially being English, I'm very self-deprecating, so I can't really speak that well for myself. And then he asked me, what's the craziest thing I've done, like just on a whim and out of my own initiative, and I can't think of anything like really positive that I've just done on a whim. That's just like, I don't know. I mean, as a person, I'm generally quite impulsive in my decisions, in that basically I'll just say if my friends want me to come over or to go somewhere across the country, I just hop on a train and do it. I think that in that way I'm quite impulsive. I think a lot of my friends are impulsive. We just do things on a whim, and they always work out quite well. I think it's always better when you are impulsive. I guess the only thing is, a lot of the time I do things with friends, so it's not just me. Like we climbed the closest mountain, which is the Kinder Scout, but I don't really know. I can't really say. I guess one achievement is the YouTube channel, and that was just, it was a leap to try and do some commentary, because obviously at the start I've changed a lot as a person, because at the start of doing YouTube I was very, very shy, and I could never talk like this. Like the way I'm talking now, and like doing any sort of commentary, especially free flow like I am now. Like I used to do it scripted, but now I'll just do it free flow and try and think as I go along. And this is actually like a massive step for me in like how I present myself, and yeah, and it's completely changed my person, just me just jumping into this YouTube world. And you try and put yourself out there. At the start there's a lot of negativity. People are quite critical of what you do as when you're actually rubbish, which I was. And not to say that I'm amazing now, but I think I know what I'm doing better, and yeah, a lot of my videos are a bit higher quality and not as sort of like ecchi. Well, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, so I hope that answered your question, but it's not quite what you wanted, I'm guessing. Okay, so I missed Andy Dye's question last week because it was underneath like another paragraph and I didn't notice, and that she put a sad face on my last video, so I'll answer this one. So she says, just today a shooting occurred at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It's also where I live. 3 Muslim students were shot dead by a white man. Many people are calling this a hate crime, and there's been discontent over the way the media are reacting to this tragedy. Josh, what do you feel about Muslims and Western perception of their religion? Islam has been negatively portrayed because of 9/11, Iraq and terrorism. So actually, at the Citizens Vice Bureau I work with quite a few Muslims, and most of them share the same sort of religion as a lot of my parents used to, but they don't so much anymore. But they used to be basically Protestants, but basically only Protestant in name. All the Muslims I work with in work are they're slightly religious. They're not like, well, they're not extreme, well, not even extreme, not committed to the religion, really. I think it's just more of a cultural identifier than anything, and I think a lot of people overlook that fact when they try and think about any certain religion. There's basically going to be a large swathe of people who are, say, quite religious, but they aren't fundamentalist. And I think that's the case for the majority of Muslims in the country, and any religion really. Most of them aren't fundamentalists, so there's not really a problem. And I think that in fact, in reality, the Daily Mail, the Sun, and a lot of the tabloid papers in the UK, not because they're racist papers or because they're pushing a racist agenda, it's just because the Muslims are a minority, and it's an easy sell to create these monsters out of Islam and the religion, and basically pick on minorities rather than the majority of the people that you want to sell your paper to. So I think there's always going to be a bias against the minorities, and as a society we should try and stop that. And whilst I do say that, and that basically the vast majority of Muslims in this country aren't extremists or fundamentalists even, like basically most of them I wouldn't have thought are actually that religious, similar as to Christians. But I would say that in the UK there are religious only schools, faith schools, and I think because the Islamic schools are so much more ostracised from society rather than, say, the Protestant schools, even though I went to faith school when I was younger and I'm not religious anymore, just to put it out there. I think you can break free of what you were basically taught to believe, but I think faith schools, especially Islamic faith schools, aren't a good thing, because basically you're basically taking one culture away from absolutely everybody else, and not only that, you're basically teaching your religion will always have precedence over everybody else's, so you never really give people the choice of what exactly they want to become or what they want to believe. But there is obviously a problem with terrorism and people who believe firmly in extremism, and a lot of these people can preach in the UK without any repercussions. Some of them are being cracked down on, but it is a problem. And how much of a problem that is really up for debate, and that's what I think I'd argue, that it's a minority, and as a public, it's more about a public opinion. We've got to make the public opinion more informed, basically, on the majority of people aren't fundamentalists. That's the issue, and I do feel sorry for a lot of Muslims that the media does portray them in a negative light. BVI says, another political question, he says, how do you feel about the monarchy? And I'm guessing he means the British monarchy. So I probably would be classed as a Republican in that I don't think that the monarchy should have any sort of engagement with our politics. But saying that, as beings, entities in the British state, I think there's been quite a few videos and talks about how the monarchy bring in tourist revenue, and it's one of our biggest tourist revenues is because of our identity as sort of this, oh hello, we're from Britain, we like tea, and we've got the royal family, we do love the Queen, and people sort of believe that fantasy, and that does sell in a touristy way. And I guess any other way to get people into the country is good, because at the end of the day it's quite a rainy country, and I think that, yeah. Well, but then again, as I think anyone from the local places where they live find it hard to see why people would want to come see it as a tourist destination. But then England is very different from, say, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. It's just a different place, and it's got a different culture and a different society, and it's very interesting to see the history and the heritage. But yeah, anyway, I'm going a bit off track now, but the Queen as a tourist attraction, yeah, that's good. But I think that obviously the monarchy can be separated from politics and still be a tourist. But then again, it's not something on my list of things I think the monarchy has to go. That's at the top of my list. Politically, it's not at all. Although I do think that, again, the idea of a monarchy, in that the people are born into wealth and they're born to land, is sort of echoes back to a past which doesn't exist anymore, and doesn't align so much with our current, or the idea of capitalism or free capitalism. But then again, and another counterpoint is that the royal family from birth are hounded by the media, and they have to become a public figure. And I think that for a lot of people, maybe even me included, wouldn't like living that life. And I guess it's not an easy life, and there are pros and cons to being a royal. But as I said, it's not a massive thing that affects me. But in terms of the state of politics, I don't think that the monarchy should even have a symbolic play. At the end of the day, we should be a democratic society, and it shouldn't even the echoes of the culture shouldn't exist anymore in institutions. But obviously the spectacle and the sort of the fantasy can still be played out for tourism's sake. Anyway, moving on to the next question, and I don't actually have many questions this week, so let's have a look. Okay, Durko99 says, what would you think of wallbanging in Planetside 2 like CSGO? And I'm not exactly sure what wallbanging is. I think it might be because the flashbang in Planetside 2 used to not be able to bounce off walls, but I think they've actually changed that. I think that came in a patch. I haven't actually used the flashbang that much because of how unreliable they are, generally because you don't really know who's been flashed and who's not been flashed. But I think that generally if they made it so that you could bounce them off walls and flash entire rooms, rather than what it is now, so that you have more of an idea who's flashed or not. I don't know how you do this. At the moment, it might just be the fact that the rooms in Planetside 2 and the environments where you fight are just too large to flash absolutely everybody, so they're not as useful. Yeah, I think the EMP grenade, well, all grenades should be able to bounce around, because I think that's sort of the skill of using a grenade, is being able to sort of guess the trajectory and the bouncing trajectory of where your grenade will go and how long it'll take to blow up before the people that you've thrown it at get there. And that's sort of a skill in throwing grenades in games. So yeah, if that is wallbanging, then I'd agree, but if not, then I'm not sure. Anyway, that's all of the questions from yourselves. Basically, I'll give a call out for more questions next week, more than 3, please. But yeah, cheers for everyone that's asked a question or that's put a comment. There's been a lot more comments, you see. There's still 20 comments, but only 3 questions in those 20 comments. But again, sorry for the lack of content. I'll try and get on top of it again and get more content out. I've actually downloaded the Unreal Tournament alpha, and I'm going to talk about that and Unreal Tournament. The Unreal 4 engine's implementation and the fact that it's become free for developers and what implications that has. And I think about doing a video on that because it's quite interesting, and I do love the Unreal Tournament games. I can't wait to give this Unreal Tournament alpha a go for the next gen, even though some of the textures aren't in yet, but it does look quite solid in the core gameplay itself at the moment. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to like, comment, and obviously with the questions for next week, and subscribe if you want to see more and hear more of me. Until next time, everybody, Joshino!